He should try enjoying life rather than spending his time trying to outsmart me. While he's alive, that is.
I know what you're saying, but it's not that simple. It's just human nature.
I've always been curious. Always ask questions. I mean, that's what kids do, right? They ask questions knowing that someone would answer them and give them an explanation. But I'm not a kid anymore. So I went out to ask questions that wouldn't be easily answered. This time, I wouldn't be given the answer. I would have to look for it. So I went on an adventure to find my answer. When a person believes that he or she is able to act so as to maximize the possibility of good outcomes and minimize the possibility of bad outcomes, he or she is said to have an internal locus of control. While those who are always at the mercy of luck, fate, and unforeseen, uncontrollable outside force, and feel helpless all the time, and never like to take the responsibility for their bad outcomes and miserable performances in life, are said to have the external locus of control. If a person has internal locus of control, that person attributes success to his or her own efforts and abilities. A person who expects to succeed will be more motivated and more likely to learn. A person with an external locus of control, who attributes his or her success to luck and fate, will be less likely to make the effort needed to learn. People with an external locus of control are also more likely to experience anxiety, since they believe that they are not in control of their lives. This is not to say, however, that an internal locus of control is good and an external locus of control is bad. But there are other variables to consider. However, psychological research has found that people with more internal locus of control seem to be better off. An example would be them tending to be more achievement-oriented and get better paying jobs.
My adventure starts. My main question was whether religion had an effect on the belief of locus of control. I looked for sources and research articles that would help me answer that question. But before searching, my hypothesis was that religious beliefs did in fact have an effect on the belief of locus of control. Therefore, if you were to be religious, you would have an external locus of control.
He should try enjoying life rather
The reason I think that is because of fate and destiny. In dominant religions around the world, it is said that God has already set a path for you, which would naturally mean that a person with a strong religious belief would believe in external locus of control.
Before concluding, I went out to ask a couple of people about their belief in locus of control and how they can tie it to their religion. This is Zaid Laham, a senior at King's Academy and a beautiful religious individual.
Yeah, I do believe in an internal locus of control, as well as being faithful in my religion of Islam. I believe that my approach stems a lot from Islam. Islam treats internal locus of control as part of the equation of life, I would say. You know, it's referred to as there being a balance between what is destined for you, things that you cannot choose, like your parents, you know, the country that you're born in, the color of your skin. There are certain situations that you just are put in, and then you have to see how you can deal with. But Islam also says that, you know, you will be held accountable for your decisions and the actions you make. And while God does know the decisions you're going to make because He is all-knowing, He doesn't necessarily determine them Himself. You are the person that determines your actions. And I believe people are defined by their intentions and as well as their actions. And I think that the human mind is a very powerful thing, and people can achieve a lot if they really believe that they can. And that's why I do believe that I can live without limits.
He should try enjoying life rather than spending his time trying to
We can
outsmart
clearly see that both of the people I interviewed believed in an internal locus of control, although they both come from different religious backgrounds. The belief came behind them blaming themselves for what happens to them, but they believe that there are some things that are not in their control, like skin color, race, nationality, etc. Our research group has just got an exclusive interview with the ghost of the one and only Dr. Corsi. Let's see what he has to say about his research paper regarding locus of
An
control.
appropriate conclusion to draw based on the experiment that we carried out is that there is no correlation between an external locus of control and God control, and especially us testing it on religious people, further actively religious people that are involved with the church in Washington, D.C., which is where we carried out the experiment, shows that, especially among active religious people, that there is no correlation. The way that we tested it was through a Pearson product moment correlation graph, which shows the regression, and it showed that on a scale from -1 to 1, where 0 shows no correlation, -1 shows high negative correlation, and 1 shows high positive correlation. The results stood at -0.26, which is closer to no correlation than it is to high negative correlation. So essentially what we found was that there is no correlation at all between God control and the external locus of control.
We can conclude that my hypothesis was in fact wrong. Locus of control was not necessarily influenced by religious belief, but rather differed in the way people perceived themselves. My journey in the locus of control soon ends, but another shall start, a path that only I could draw. I would only be able to draw that path with one thing only, and that would be my actions.